What up, guys? Kevin here. So I'm seeing a lot of people break down this quote from Phil Spencer. Great interview. Anytime Phil Spencer does an interview, I'm there. I'm there. Fascinating guy, fascinating brand, and he's very candid. I did a reaction in my last video. You can go check that out. Jumped all over the place. Touched on this a little bit, but I really want to touch upon Phil Spencer and his quote around the Xbox console. The Xbox consoles, the perception is like, hey, it's not performing like it should, and there's stock issues. It's not selling as well. Xcast brought it up, and people are, I don't know, I watched the quote over and over, and other people are taking away that he's throwing in the white flag. The console war is over. Sony and Nintendo won. Phil Spencer says they're in third place. And I think the thing that people are latching on is he said, great games is not going to make a difference dramatically. I think people are forgetting that word, dramatically, meaning he even said if Starfield's 11 out of 10, they're not winning. Great games are not going to win the generation. Just not. Sony is going to win. Nintendo already won, but now they're going to be transitioning over to a new device. And I would assume Phil Spencer seems much more closer with Nintendo than PlayStation, and probably understands that Nintendo's probably going to kill it next generation as well. But people, even Xbox guys, like, oh my God, he threw in the white towel. He has to go. He has to go. No, he threw in the towel when he announced Game Pass, when they put games on PC. Like, seriously, how stupid do you have to be to misinterpret that? Now, I get it. I think some people, rightfully so, can interpret that, oh, we don't even have to bother making great games. It doesn't matter. That, yeah, I mean, you probably wish he had more time to explain that part. I think people, understandably so, can say, well, so making great games doesn't matter? No, making great games does matter. Making great games is going to sell consoles. You're not going to beat Sony or Nintendo. They have a whole ecosystem. I think a good focus should be on the console itself. That's where, that is what's front and center at these events and everything. But if you don't understand the ecosystem of Xbox is more than just Xbox itself, well, maybe get off the internet. Maybe think before you tweet. What was he say? Different vision won't out-console Sony and Nintendo. Yeah, they know it. He even mentions that we lost a worse generation to lose, meaning the Xbox One, where everybody built their digital library of games. Yeah, I mean, look at Epic. Look at the Epic Game Store. People... What's funny about that is games come to PC, and we get all excited. It's like, oh, it's Epic Game Store. But then, 3, 6, whatever the exclusivity period is done, when it gets announced for Steam, that is its own, fun event. Yes, the game's finally coming to Steam, coming to a platform I want to play it on. I'm like, it's on PC. You can play it on PC already. But no, people, even on PC, where it's just, you can still click the same thumbnail or the app icon on your desktop to play the game. But people would rather have that load up on Steam in the background than an Epic Game Store. But yeah, it's, at least he recognizes that. I think he understood, the time to win was last generation. And with all the free games, the sales, the flash sales, these consoles have weekly, daily, everyone build up their library on Switch and PlayStation, and I would say a good portion on Xbox. That, yeah, people are set. He said people are set. People are either gaming on the 3 already, and it's hard to get people to switch from PlayStation to Xbox. I think he understands people would buy an Xbox for Starfield and everything, but that doesn't do them any good if They're just buying it for Starfield, and then they're going to go back and mainly play and spend all their money on PlayStation and Nintendo. And he said dramatically, or whatever word that was, like, oh my God, we're going to actually win. So I can see the confusion there, but again, if you think this is throwing in the white towel, he did that already. he understood back in the Xbox One generation, like, yeah, we're not going to win consoles. We're just not. So let's spread out our ecosystem to screens instead of consoles and create a great service in Game Pass and win that way, because the other two aren't trying to compete that way. Yeah, there's no world where Starfield is 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. Yeah, no. And that's a great argument for them getting Activision Blizzard, and where the CMA did get right eventually. Like, yeah, people aren't going to sell their PS5s and go over. I mean, they still need PlayStation 5 to sell COD. Yeah, I see people, I even like people I respect, have a disagreement with this. I don't see it as them saying we're not going to be making great games. Their focus is on just, they got a plan to put out a game every quarter, which, that kind of falls into the issue they're having now. Like, hey, you don't need to meet that if the game's not ready. It's okay to not have a game ready in the spring if Redfall isn't good. I mean, they had Minecraft Legends, but that's their focus. And I think he should have, I think he did, but he should have done a better job just saying, hey, our focus is just getting content out there, great working content that meets and exceeds your expectations and our expectations, and do that on a consistent basis. And then we'll have a healthy ecosystem, and that should translate over well to consoles. He went the fanboy route of comparing Xbox against them two, and then it's just, oh my God, they threw in the white flag. I don't know. If you see it as them throwing a white flag, I'm glad he woke up. They threw it out, 2017? When did they start putting games on PC and do Game Pass? 2017? So like 6 years later? You now understand? I've been saying this forever. It's more than just Xbox. They do got to do a better job of getting every game on console. He said it outright, like, hey, I see it. I see all the issues. I think he implied that he sees the issue with Square Enix and games skipping the console. Well, that's got to be fixed. I don't care if he has to write a check or whatever. He's got to do something, and he explains communication. Like, communicate, hey, we're trying our best to get the Square Enix deal done or games back on Xbox, but they're holding it up here. They think of this. This is what they think. And that's on Xbox. That's on Phil Spencer. Now, people are saying, like, yeah, it's the same routine over and over. It's all on you, Phil Spencer. It's your fault. But ain't nothing going to change. I do think if the deal doesn't go through with Activision Blizzard, and if Starfield is a wreck, which I don't think it will be. It sounds like that game is being managed very well. Xbox put all their focus on that, not on Redfall, like I've been saying the whole time. But if that game doesn't come out well, Phil Spencer, even if he doesn't get fired, I even think he would step aside. Now, there may be contracts in place with Bethesda and probably eventually Activision Blizzard. Wasn't he going to take Bobby Kotick's spot? Wasn't he going to do something like that? Where he has to stay in place. Like, hey, this is your deal. This is your Bethesda deal. He has to stay in place. I think that's one of the reasons why Bethesda was like, okay, dude, we love you, Phil Spencer. We'll join Xbox. Even with Obsidian. Obsidian said, like, hey, we went with Xbox because we feel like we can have a beer with them and play Vampire Survivors. So I think that's a reason why he's not leaving. He even seemed like, hey, this ain't working under me, or just too much pressure. Ultimately, I think they're doing all right. All this over Redfall. It really is over Redfall. And the CMA is a CMA. Everyone understands that decision was dumb and wrong. But that's out of Xbox's control. I think that's why I didn't bring it up too much. He just said he was going to fight it. All right. Now I'm just rehashing the last video, but I wanted to say that just because I see people just misinterpret what he said. Yeah, Xbox isn't going to win. If you really thought Xbox was going to win the generation when PlayStation is on cruise control and they can just do sequels, I will just do sequels to the games that got us the first place last generation. We'll even do Horizon 3, which people are groaning about. I'm excited for it. And Nintendo has Zelda and Mario. They're set. Zelda and Mario Kart, they're good. They're good. Xbox, I think they have an identity crisis. They don't know. I think they don't know which IP to get behind. I guess Forza's there. Gears seems to be. I always like Gears, but maybe they can do something with Gears again. Halo. I think Halo just needs to go back to making just a very tight 10-hour single-player game. And just online mode, sure. But nothing too wild. No, like 10-year. Are we going to support this game for 10 years? Like, no, just support it until launch. And fix the bugs afterwards. And just keep the servers working. That's it. Ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. I think they really need to scale back their ambitions. All right. I'm done here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Later.